Hey everyone, it's May and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I do breakdown review videos for Nightwish and I've done Taria's albums in the past. I also do some reaction videos as well. So if you're interested to see more content, please subscribe and turn on your notifications so you always get notified when I post. Today we're going to be doing a breakdown of Nightwish's 7th album, IMAGINAERUM, and I've got that here to show you guys and I'll just be reading the lyrics off of this. Basically for these videos, I just go through the album and just kind of talk about each song and kind of do a deep dive into the lyrics and my interpretations. As always, these are just my interpretations, or if I specifically say that I got something from Genius or Song Meanings. I'm not saying that this is exactly what Twoma's intended. There are always so many different ways to interpret a song, but this is just my interpretation. And as always, I would love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments as well. So some quick background on IMAGINAERUM. It was released in 2011. It has 13 tracks. It was their second and last album with Annette. It is also Yuka's last album, the drummer, because he had to quit the band because of insomnia, I think it was. And we do have Troy on the pipes again. Troy is now a full member, but at this time he was just doing the pipes on Dark Passion Play and IMAGINAERUM. That kind of adds that folk metal sound to some of the songs. Overall, this album is like super musically diverse. We've got like super hard rock, hard metal, and then we've got like more commercial, poppy sounding songs. We've got even a jazz piece, some ballads, that folk metal. But I think that it all really comes together. Out of all of Nightwish's albums, this one definitely has the most of a soundtrack feel. Thomas always talks about how he's super inspired by film scores, soundtracks, like he really loves listening to that, and he wanted to kind of do that for this. His original idea was to film like a short film, like a short story to go with each song, and then it ended up turning into the IMAGINAERUM movie. I saw it many years ago and I honestly don't really remember it. I just remember being really confused the whole time. For the most part, I'm just going to be talking about the album as an album and not really relating it to that, but just a quick overview is that it's basically about an old man with dementia and it's kind of like going on a journey back through his memories. So there are a couple times when I might bring it up or kind of how it could connect to that, but for the most part I will just be talking about the music. That definitely does have like its own kind of connection to that movie as well. So just a couple things that Thomas has said about this album in interviews. It's basically supposed to be a roller coaster that takes you to different parts of the world and allows you to see different aspects of life. He also said that this is kind of the most optimistic or uplifting album they had done to date. There's still like elements of sadness or melancholy, but it was really the most optimistic kind of album, especially after Dark Passion Play. It's like coming out of the darkness. He said that he doesn't really consider it a concept album. I think some people, they do consider it a concept album. I don't know. I feel like it could be considered it, but Thomas himself doesn't say it is. He says that the themes of imagination, memories, and like the beauty of the world are present in all the songs. And I definitely see those themes, as well as still see the loss of innocence, of course, being threaded through it, but I definitely see those themes emerge in the songs. The cover depicts, I guess it could be an abandoned amusement park or just like an amusement park after dark, and it kind of gives this feeling that it's like waiting for you. Thomas said basically it's beckoning you to come on an adventure and it holds a sublime but desolate, all of this is waiting for you and only you feeling, kind of like inviting you to join the ride of life. In the songs, what I actually see more than a roller coaster is a river being the symbol of life, like having twists and turns, like ups and downs. But definitely in Last Ride of the Day, we see it as a roller coaster as well, and that connects right to the cover art, like having life be this thing that's taking you on a path that is twists and turns and ups and downs like a roller coaster, and it's all part of the journey. This is definitely my favorite post-Taria album. I just love the song so much, and Nightwish always has some kind of magic for me. I don't know if anyone else experiences that with their music. I think they do. Like with other metal bands, even though I really like them, their music doesn't feel like magical where Nightwish does. I'm not saying it's better or worse, but there's just something about Nightwish's music that's always had that for me, and it's really present on this album. The first track is Taikatalvi, I think is how you say it, which is in Finnish, obviously. I will just read the translation. This is sung by Marco, and it really showcases that softer side of his voice, kind of like While Your Lips Are Still Red did. It starts with a music box turning, and then this kind of magical sound that's like starting up. I think that the music box is a thing in the movie maybe, or it's a snow globe, I think. So I'm not sure if that has to do with that, but basically it's just like starting the album. It's like setting setting the scene. The title translates to Enchanted Winter. The stage is the dearest of my children, where moonlight moves through alleys, a bent twig, a summer in its care. White vast open sea, on the wings of a phantom moon, comes to take me home. In Winterland, a moment is an eternity. Creeps to me on kitten paws, I get to live here where the story begins, where a violin echoes the eternal melody of immense longing, waking up the earth with its song. So this kind of relates back to, I would actually say Angels Fall First, like when Tuomas wrote about the winter landscapes of Finland and everything, and the line, in Winterland a moment is an eternity. There's a song called This Moment is Eternity on their first album. So yeah, it's basically just talking about winter and setting the stage for the album. So it's like this really vivid imagery, and then a violin echoes the eternal melody of immense longing, waking up the earth with its song. The song also fades like directly into Storytime, and I feel like that's just kind of setting the stage for that. Like everything is waking up and getting ready to tell the story of this album. Storytime is probably my favorite song off of the album. It is just so good. It's so catchy, like you can't not sing along to it. Overall, the song is basically like a celebration of imagination and story. An insight that an interviewer had that Tuomas said also fit for him, and I'll link this interview down below, was that this album kind of celebrates imagination and integrates it with life versus seeing it as an escape from life like it had been portrayed on previous albums, and I feel like this song really shows that. So the lyrics are, "'Twas the night before when all through the world, no words, no dreams, then one day, a rider by a fire imagined all Gaia, took a journey into a child man's heart. Painter on the shore imagined all the world within a snowflake on his palm. Unframed by poetry, a canvas of awe, planet Earth falling back into the stars." So this first verse is setting the scene for something to happen. Like the first couple lines is kind of a reference to "'Twas the night before Christmas." Like, "'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse, like all the stockings were hung by the chimney with care." Like it's setting the scene of like everything's in waiting for something to happen. There were no words, no dreams, then one day. We have the writer and we have the painter who use their imaginations to tell stories in different ways. And then the chorus is, "I am the voice of Never Never Land, the innocence, the dreams of every man. I am the empty crib of Peter Pan, a silent kite against the blue, blue sky, every chimney, every moonlit sight. I am the story that will read you real, every memory that you hold dear." I just love these lyrics so much. The narrator of this chorus seems to be imagination itself. We obviously have the Peter Pan references with Never Never Land, I am the empty crib of Peter Pan. When it says I am the story that will read you real, I think that that is saying that we don't only use stories as entertainment to escape our lives, but we also use them to understand our lives better. You know, like when you read a book or listen to a song and it's like, wow, I never understood that feeling until now. Like it takes a slice of the human experience into a story that makes it understandable for people. Like I think that it can help us understand our reality. So I think that's what that means there. Verse 2, "I am the journey, I am the destination, I am the home, the tale that reads you. A way to taste the night, the elusive high, follow the madness Alice you know once did. Imaginarium, a dream emporium, caress the tales and they will dream you real. A storyteller's game, lips that intoxicate, the core of all life is a limitless chest of tales." We have the chorus again, and then "I am the voice Neverland, the innocence, the dreams of every man, searching heavens for another earth" is the last line there. Basically the second verse is just a continuation of that narration of the narrator, I think, being like imagination. We have a reference to another fairy tale in Alice of Wonderland. It's basically encouraging the listener to come along on this adventure, like follow the madness Alice you know once did, like come join the adventure with me. When it says a way to taste the night, I feel like it's giving you a different lens to see life through. And when it says the core of all life is a limitless chest of tales, I think that that's speaking again to the fact that stories are so important. Like it's not just for entertainment, but they're, before we had all this technology, like stories, how we pass down information, stories, how we make sense of our lives. So it's really integral to human life. So I think that that is kind of what connects to what the interviewer was talking about. Like it's about how imagination is an essential part of life and doesn't necessarily have to be escapism. Track 3 is Ghost River. This is a super heavy one where we've got Marco singing in the chorus. The first verse is, "It's a long road down the river deep and wild, every twist and turn a wonder dale. It's a scary ride, we'd give anything to take. Let yourself bleed, leave a footprint on every island you see. Hey you child of rape, the riverbed awaits. night. Snow white, pitch black, your life such strife. Heavenward deep down, I'll show you such sights. Believe it, we live as we dream. Scream. And then the chorus is he will go down, he will drown, drown deeper down. The river wild will take your only child. He will go down, he will drown, drown deeper down. The mills grind slow in a riverbed ghost town. He will go down, he will drown, drown deeper down. If you want me, then do come across. So I think I looked this up on Song Meanings and Genius, but people didn't have too much to say. And same with Storytime, I just kind of made my own interpretation of that. So same with this one, it's really just my own thoughts on this, but this is what I was talking about with the river symbol. I think that in this, the river is supposed to represent life because it has a current that takes you along and it has, you know, these turns and bends and it ends in death for everyone. So I think the first verse there, like the long road down, is representing life. There will be good and bad parts. And when it says let yourself bleed, it's basically saying like you're going to get hurt, but that's part of the adventure and how you'll grow. And leaving a footprint on every island you see is maybe leaving your mark on things or people. The chorus is very dark and it seems to be, again, just my thoughts, I don't know, but it seems to be speaking to parents and kind of that fear parents have of like things happening to their children, right? So like parents like want to protect their kids from, you know, anything bad happening in life, but they obviously can't do that. I don't know if anyone's seen The Haunting of Hill House, but that was such a wonderful portrayal of that because that was one of the main themes that parents like have to let go. Anyway, that's on Netflix. It's one of my favorite shows. It's so good. Anyway, basically it's the idea that parents have to let go and let their children live their lives, like even with all of the darkness and the dangers in the world. And then the second verse is, what is it you dream of, child of mine? The magic ride, the mermaid cove, never met a kinder heart than yours. Let it bleed, leave a footprint on every island you see. I am the painted faces, the toxic kiss, sowing of doubt, troll beneath the bridge. Come across, death by 1,000 cuts, believe it, we as we dream, scream. I am the desert scape, the sand inside your hourglass. I am the fear and abuse, the leper children, every eye sewn shut. And then it's the chorus again, except it's we will go down, the children singing it instead of he. Beautifully shy as you are, never lose your heart and do come across. When the children sing that, it's basically like they're saying that they're about to go on this adventure and experience all these dark things. Like in terms of the album as a whole, like this is definitely like the dark side of what you're going to experience on the ride of life. Going back to the second verse, I think that's talking about the positive things children dream of or read about in stories. Like, do you want to see the magic ride, the mermaid cove? And then the part that Marco sings, I think is kind of about deception. Like, I am the painted faces, the toxic kiss. He's the troll beneath the bridge. Like, oh, come across the bridge, but there's actually a troll underneath it and you're gonna get eaten or whatever. And so maybe it's kind of that children's innocence, like they think that they're gonna have all these adventures in life from the stories they read that are really positive, and then there's actually people that are going to fool them in life or things that are going to be deceiving. Yeah, so it's basically just saying that like they're going to encounter these things in life, and then the mills grind slow in a riverbed ghost town. When I think of that line, I basically just think that it's saying like death waits for everyone, like everyone's like slowly dying, it's eventually gonna get you, but you have to go on this ride. Like I said, this is definitely like the darker side of it. Not the most uplifting song, but like we'll get there, you know? The next track is Slow Love Slow. Just so daring of them to do something so different, and I just think it turned out so well and so beautiful. It is inspired by American 1930s jazz club music, and it's also inspired by a horror show called Twin Peaks. I have not heard of that, but apparently that's what kind of factored into this. It's just so different than their normal sound, but I just think it's so good, and Annette's voice sounds so good in this. Like, this is what I was talking about with the last album, with the song like Eva, for example. Like, I could still hear Taria singing that, and I wanted her to be singing it. But this is for Annette. Like, this is where her voice shines. Like, when I listen to this, I'm like, this is Annette's song. Like, 100%. I am very unsure about my interpretation on this. I went to song meetings, and people had a couple different ways of thinking of it, and I still can't really make sense of it, but there's not that many lyrics, so I'm just gonna read them. Come and share this painting with me, unveiling of me, the magician that never failed. This deep sigh coiled around my chest, intoxicated by a major chord. I wonder, do I love you or bethought of you? Slow love slow, only the weak are not lonely. Southern blue, morning dew, let down your guards, I love yous. Ice cream castles, lips to ear rhymes, a slumber deeper than time, and then just the chorus again. So the first verse definitely seems to be like beckoning or seducing seducing a lover. I think that this deep sigh coiled around my chest just is supposed to like depict longing, and when she sings the word sigh, she sings it kind of breathily, and there's a sigh like in the background of the music. And then I don't have the most musical knowledge here, so I could be wrong, but when it says intoxicated by a major chord, the song is definitely like in a minor key, and I think right there it kind of shifts, I think. And then I wonder, do I love you or the thought of you could mean like at the beginning of a relationship when you're just like getting to know someone. It's kind of like, I don't know if I really love you or just the idea of you, or like maybe further on in the relationship not knowing if you actually love the person or just the idea of them and being with them, but not actually when you're with them. I don't know. So with the chorus, I never quite understood what slow love slow meant. Like, I think she could also be talking, just like continuing to talk to a lover. Someone on Song Meanings had an interesting interpretation and said that it's actually the narrator talking to her own heart. This is all about the beginning of a relationship at the beginning of the song, and she's basically telling her heart to be patient, which I think is interesting, like love talking to her own heart and love versus love like a name for someone else. And then only the weak are not lonely is like saying people who have never put themselves out there in any way in life or tried anything are not going to be lonely because they don't know what they've never had, I guess. They have nothing to miss, basically. And then the second verse, I think, is just little details of their relationship. So we've got Southern Blue, Morning Dew, Let Down Your Guards, I Love Yous, so letting down your walls, you know, with this person saying I love you, ice cream castles. I'm not really sure. I always picture a sandcastle for that. I don't know why, but it gives kind of like this playful image, I guess. Lips to ear rhymes, like whispering into each other's ears as slower deeper than time. And then there's like kind of a horn solo, and then the slow love slow is just repeated, and then at the end there's like this ticking clock. So maybe that's something in the movie, I don't remember, but on Song Meanings that same person said that it is that prayer for the narrator's own heart to be patient and to let love come with time. Like, don't rush into things. It's okay to be lonely at the beginning of the relationship. Like, only the weak are not lonely. Like, you're trying to be vulnerable with this person. And I still think that it could be her talking to the lover, like telling them it's okay to move slowly in the relationship, but I think I kind of like their interpretation that it's talking to her own heart, maybe. All right, next we have I Want My Tears Back, a Nightwish classic. I don't think they can ever play this live again. It was Marco's song. It just was. This is definitely one of my favorites from the album, and it's just a great example of how Annette and Marco just work so well together. The lyrics are, so at the beginning, I want my tears back, the treetops, the chimneys, the snowbed stories, winter gray, wildflowers, those meadows of heaven, wind in the wheat, a railroad across waters, the scent of grandfatherly love, blue bios, Decembers, music through a dragonfly's wings. So this first verse is yearning for memories of childhood, which is something we've seen like a million bajillion times in Nightwish songs, so nothing really new there. But we do have a reference back to Dark Passion Play with Meadows of Heaven, which I think is just for Tuomas like the epitome of childhood, or what heaven would be like. It's basically just memories of childhood that are centered around winter. Like, we've got the snowbed stories, winter gray, Decembers, things like that, that kind of paint that winter imagery that Tuomas likes so much, and just kind of like that childhood playfulness, like seeing a moon through dragonflies' wings, like seeing things through that childish perspective, maybe with imagination. The chorus is, where is the wonder, where's the awe, where's dear Alice knocking at the door, where's the trapdoor if it takes me there, where the reel is shattered by a mad March hare, where's the wonder, where's the awe, where are the sleepless nights I used to live for, before the years take me, I wish to see the lost in me, I want my tears back, I want my tears back now. It's maybe like an older man looking back on their life, which would also fit with the movie. He is yearning for childhood and that childhood innocence and wonder, because when you're a kid, the world is full of wonder and excitement, and you have the imagination to see things in different ways. It's another reference, like in Storytime, to Alice in Wonderland. Where's dear Alice knocking on the door, where's the trapdoor that takes me there, where the reel is shattered by a mad March hare, where are these stories and adventures that I went on, these stories that I escaped into when I was a kid. And someone on Song Meanings pointed out that the line where the reel is shattered by a mad March hare, it's like when you're a kid, you can actually escape reality with a story. You can actually lose yourself in an adventure, but adults' imaginations aren't that strong. And the second verse is, a ballet on a grove, still growing young, all alone, a rag doll, a best friend, the voice of Mary Costa. So this is kind of just continuing those like childhood memories. I'm not sure if still still growing young all alone is like growing young as opposed to growing old, or growing young and all alone. I'm not sure which that's supposed to be, but Mary Costa, this is from Genius that someone pointed this out, is the voice of Aurora in Sleeping Beauty, so it's kind of another Disney reference there that was part of his childhood. Basically, it's just saying that the narrator wants to return to like childhood or innocence before he dies, and wanting his tears back I always took to mean emotion, like when life was so full of these ups and downs of the river or the roller coaster, and now it's just these memories because nothing's really happening anymore, I think is what that's saying. An interesting interpretation on song meanings was that the narrator specifically was suffering from mental illness and wanted some kind of madness back. This would relate a little bit if you guys are familiar with the musical Next to Normal, like the song I Miss the Mountains, like that kind of vibe, because when you have a mental illness, yes, you have like these dark moments, but it also just like gives you feelings that you wouldn't have normally been able to get. And so I think that's an interesting interpretation. That's not really how I think of it, but that is what someone said on Song Meanings that it could be. Like he's lost those like exaggerated emotional highs and lows by being like healed from his mental illness. Next we have Scaretale. This one is very interesting. Kind of like Soul of Slow is just a little bit out of the ordinary and daring, especially for Nightwish. This is very theatrical. The beginning and the end are very symphonic, bombastic, but like that whole middle part sounds like it would be on an amusement park ride. Like it sounds a bit like the Disney Haunted Mansion theme. There's also a children's choir in this song at the beginning. They sing the little nursery rhyme at the very beginning of the song, and that reminds me a bit of in Doctor Who, where there's like in season 6, like tick-tock goes the clock. When the children sing that song, it like makes it that much more haunting, like with their voices. So that's how this song starts. It says ring a ring of roses, which I'm used to hearing it as ring around the rosy, but yeah, it's that nursery rhyme, so it's basically just like ominous and foreboding. And then the words are once upon a time in a daymere, dying to meet you little child, enter, enter this sideshow. Time for bed, the cradle still rocks, 13 chimes on a dead man's clock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. The bride will lure you, cook you, eat you, your dear innocence boiled to feed the evil in need of fear, burning farms and squealing pigs, a pool of snakes to swim with, oh sweet poison, bite me, bite me. So this is the part that's like that symphonic beginning. From Song Meanings, the daymere could be like the child is taking a nap, so instead of a nightmare, it's like in the middle of the day. It's basically beckoning a child on an adventure like in Ghost River. I'm wondering, the 13 chimes on a clock, does that mean like 1 p.m.? Maybe? I'm not sure. The next 2 verses are just dark mishaps and adventures that wait for the child. This is another song where I feel like Annette's voice is really showcased. Like she's really good at putting those like theatrical elements on her voice. Like when she says squealing pigs, like she kind of squeals the word and everything is so dramatic. She just did like an amazing job with it. Ladies and gentlemen, be heartlessly welcome to Cirque de Morgue, and what a show we have for you tonight. And this is the part where it kind of goes into that new tempo and sounds like an amusement park ride, which again goes into that whole like ride or amusement park theme too. Restless souls will put on their dancing shoes, mindless goals with a lot of limbs to lose. Illusionist, contortionist, tightrope walkers tightening the noose, horde of spiders, closet tentacles, laughing harpies with their talons ripping. Like it's just the sound effects. The pendulum still sways for you, such are the darks here to show you, child in a corner, fallen mirrors, all kingdom in cinders. The restless souls and the mindless ghouls are kind of that like dead aspect, and again just like continuing, like these are like the fantastical dark elements that this child is going to see in their dream. The last verse has a reference back to the poet and the pendulum. The pendulum is still swinging, which I'm not sure, like does that mean impending death? I'm not sure how to interpret the last 2 lines there, but I think the darkness is showing you the terrors of the world that you'll have to face, kind of like Ghost River, like death is waiting for everyone, and these are the kind of things that you're going to see on the journey. Again, this goes to the dark part of that. I mean, this song could definitely be taken as like just this nightmare, but it's also like it could be applied to life, right? Especially what makes me think that is the line back in the 3rd verse, your dear innocence boiled to feed the evil in need of fear. It's like saying this is what's going to happen when you grow up. That's what I have to say about that one. Arabesque is just an instrumental, so we're going to skip over that. And then next we have Turn Loose the Mermaids, one of my favorites. I keep saying that for like all of them. They're all my favorite, but this one really is up there. This one's very like acoustic, folk sounding. Again, another ballad where Annette's voice is really showcased. Like most of the songs on this album, it can be interpreted both literally and figuratively. You can think of it as just a weary traveler at the end of their journey who gets to rest, but also with the song and the context of the movie, it's about someone who's come to the end of their life. So the words are, a kite above a graveyard gray, at the end of the line, far, far away, a child holding on to the magic of birth and awe. Oh, how beautiful it used to be, just you and me far beyond the sea, the water scarce in motion, quivering still. From song meanings, I had never made this connection before, maybe it's kind of obvious, but those first lines, there's a graveyard and the kite is connecting it to this child at the other end. At the end of the line, far, far away, is a child holding on to the magic of birth and awe. I guess I just never quite put that image together. When you're a kid, death is like unfathomable. Like that's so far away. It's not something that you think about. So like it's something at the complete other end of life than this person who is going to die. And that child is clinging to that wonder that they have in childhood. The second verse, though, how beautiful it used to be, I think is just reminiscing on times with like a lover or a loved one. From song meaning, someone said that the water scarce in motion, quivering still is saying that death was hesitant to take them when they were young, which is an interesting way of seeing that. I had never really known how to interpret that. And then the chorus, at the end of the river, the sundown beams, all the relics of a life long lived, here where you traveler rest your wand, sleep the journey from your eyes. Back to like Ghost River with that river idea again, but it's a more uplifting version of that idea. Like at the end of the river, the sundown beams is a positive image. You could see that as being heaven or just like a sunset at the end of the journey, at the end of their life. And the relics of a life long lived are memories. A wand, from Genius, someone said like a wand is like a cane, which makes sense. It could be like a traveler's walking stick, but it's also like an old man's cane, and they can finally rest at the end of their life. Good journey, love, time to go. I checked your teeth and warmed your toes. In the horizon, I see them coming for you. The mermaid grace, the forever call, beauty and spyglass on an old man's porch. The mermaids you turned loose brought back your tears. And then it repeats the chorus. The first verse that I read there, I think, is just like his loved one preparing him for death. I don't know, in the horizon I see them coming for you, like maybe it's the mermaids, like I don't know what the mermaid grace is, but the forever call, someone on song meaning said, is death. And then a spyglass, I looked it up, is a small telescope, so it's just like giving you that image of that on an old man's porch, like looking out at the ocean. This is from Genius, which made so much sense. Like the mermaids you turned loose brought back your tears. I really agree with this person that said that mermaids are past suffering, and when the narrator lets go of that, he can finally feel emotion and cry and be at peace. And that line is a direct reference, obviously, to I want my tears back. The mermaids you turned loose brought back your tears. So I really like that idea. I don't know why mermaids there, but like the idea that he had all of these like past sufferings or like heartaches that were weighing him down, and once he let go, then he could feel again. There are a lot of other interpretations, but that is the one that fits the best, I think. Next we have Rest Calm. This song seems to pick up right where Turn Loose the Mermaids leaves off. Like it's about a narrator reflecting on memories before he dies, and that also fits in with the movie, of course. Musically, this song is a bit interesting. I would say, you know, in most songs and in Nightwish, the verses are more pulled back and the chorus is where it's harder hitting. Like in most songs, it would be like Annette singing the verse and then Marco comes in for the chorus and it's more big and bombastic, but this song is actually the opposite. The verses are sung by Marco and they're more hard hitting, and then the chorus pulls back. It's more acoustic and it's Annette singing, and I think it's a very interesting way of changing that, and it's really pretty. I went to die in a seaside hotel, lanes of memory paved by sweet frozen moments. Deathbed memories of home never let me go. Every little memory resting calm in me, resting in a dream smiling back at me. The faces of the past keep calling me to come back home, to caress the river with awe. Within there's every little memory resting calm in me, resting in a dream smiling back at me. The faces of the past keep calling me to come back home, rest calm and remember me. You are the moon pulling my black waters, you are the land in my dark closet. Stay by my side until it all goes dark forever. When silent, the silence comes closer. So clearly it's just someone, like from those first two verses, someone who's getting ready to die. This definitely takes a more positive view of life and like looking back on your memories. Like lanes of memory paved by sweet frozen moments is a very interesting image of him looking back on his life, and then we just get this image of like he's at peace, like all of his memories are resting calm, like he's made peace with them and they're smiling back at him as he smiles when he thinks about them. And then the faces of the past, probably memories and loved ones, are calling him to die. And then the river again, we've got that image to caress the river with awe. And then the line rest calm calm and remember me is probably just asking, you know, the loved one who's there with him, like instructions. Rest calm and remember me, like you can make peace with everything too. You are the moon pulling my black waters. That part is also about the loved one who's with him, I would think. Like, you're the only thing that would make me want to stay, and asking them to stay by his side until he dies. Next we have The Crow, the Owl, and the Dove. This is one of my top songs. This is my favorite of like the slower songs when I first listened to this album, and it probably still is. This one's actually written by Marco, and it's definitely more acoustic and has that folk sound, kind of like the Islander on Dark Passion Play. Like you kind of see in Dark Passion Play like how it's building that bridge between Once and Imaginarum, and having that like more folky sound in some of those songs at the end there. The lyrics to this one are pretty cryptic, but overall I would say, I guess it's just about the narrator encountering creatures and appreciating them, but seeing that he doesn't need anything from them because they can't give innocence or truth, which are the things that it keeps repeating that he wants. A crow flew to me, kept its distance, such a proud creation. I saw its soul, envied its pride, but needed nothing it had. An owl came to me, old and wise, pierced right through my youth. I learned its ways, envied its sense, but needed nothing it had. Don't give me love, don't give me faith, wisdom nor pride, give innocence instead. Don't give me love, I've had my share, beauty nor rest, give me truth instead. A dove came to me, had no fear, it rested on my arm. I touched its calm, envied its love, but needed nothing it had. And then the song kind of picks up at this point. A swan of white, she came to me, the lake mirrored her beauty sweet. I kissed her neck, adored her grace, but needed nothing she could give. And then we have that chant section in another language, and then it repeats the chorus. The chorus gives me the vibes that the narrator is older, kind of like what we've been seeing on the other songs. Someone is at the end of their life reflecting. When it says, don't give me love, don't give me faith, these are things that I've gotten too much of through my life. I only want innocence. And when it says like, don't give me love, I've had my share. Like, I've already gone through all these other emotions. The only things I care about at this point are truth and innocence, which none of these creatures can give me. I don't know if there's like a specific significance with having these 3 or 4 creatures. They're all birds. This is from Song Meaning. Someone said that they could represent different religions, and tying into the don't give me faith thing, like you can only find truth for yourself. Someone else thought that they could represent people. I could see that, like maybe not specific people, but just like representing people you'll meet throughout your life. The only thing that I was confused on is in the owl verse when it says, old and wise, pierced right through my youth. Like maybe it's a memory, but otherwise that kind of ruins the it's an older narrator thing. And then it's interesting how each of the verses have, you know, something came to me, I, and then action, like I saw, I learned, I touched, and then envied something, but needed nothing it had. But then in the swan verse, it changes to I kissed her neck, adored her grace, but needed nothing she could give. And I can't really think of why that one's supposed to be different. If anyone has an idea, let me know. I can't say that it's Target reference because Marco wrote this, so otherwise I might have taken it there. But I don't think any of these songs are about her, though, real talk. So yeah, I'm not sure. And then according to Genius, that chant is in Cumbrian, I don't know how to say that, and translates roughly to walk along the river and come to Reged. So it ties back into that river symbol, I think. Even though Marco was the one who wrote this, maybe he wrote it with like the rest of the album in mind, kind of. Reged is like a legendary kingdom in this land. So like if you follow the path of your life, you'll end up in that kingdom or something. Next we have Last Ride of the Day. I think that out of all the songs, that is what ties the most into that cover art there. Seems to be another song about the end of life. It's an amusement park and you're going on the last ride, basically. We live in every moment but this one. Why don't we recognize the faces loving us so? What's God if not the spark that started life? Smile of a stranger, sweet music, starry skies, wonder mystery wherever my road goes, early wake-ups and a moving home, scent of fresh mown grass in the morning sun, open theme park gates, waiting for, riding the day, every day back into sunset, finding the way back home. We'll stop there to kind of go over this. So the first 2 lines there is basically about, I mean, pretty self-explanatory, how humans tend to live in the past or the future and not so much the present moment, and we can't like appreciate what's right in front of us, like with our loved ones. I think that it could be interpreted like in those next lines, like it says, what's God if not the spark that started life? Smile of a stranger, sweet music, starry skies, and continues on to those other things. To me, that reads as God is all of those things. God is everywhere and in everyone. Like he's in the smile of a stranger and sweet music and starry skies and wonder and mystery, etc. On genius. Someone had this really good explanation that early wake-ups and moving home could mean remembering childhood with gypsies or some kind of caravan. Early wake-ups because there's so much to do and you're moving and, you know, you're seeing all these different lands every day. And it could also just mean the motion in a home, like different family members getting up and moving and making breakfast. I tend to think the first one because otherwise that's kind of a weird way to put it. Open theme park gates, waiting for. I think you're just supposed to fill in waiting for you. You know? And then just like the riding the day every day into sunset, just kind of saying like every day is a ride, every day is part of that ride of life. Once upon a night we'll wake to the carnival of life. The beauty of this ride ahead is such an incredible high. It's hard to light a candle, easy to curse the dark instead. This moment, the dawn of humanity, the last ride of the day. Wake up, dead boy, enter Adventureland. Tricksters, magicians will show you all that's real. Careless jugglers, snake charmers by your trail. Magic of a moment, abracadabra. So the chorus talks about the high points of life, whereas other songs were more focused on the low, like saying the beauty of this ride ahead, such an incredible high. When you think about roller coasters, they have like those big hills. It has the high points and the dips, just like in life. It's hard to light a candle, easy to curse the dark instead, is kind of saying like it's hard to see the positivity sometimes, or like to look on the bright side. It's easier to just curse the bad circumstances that you have. Of course, we have another Dead Boy reference. We couldn't get through an album without having a dead boy, could we? Like, I don't think so. The way I took this is urging adults to see that there's still wonder in life, because the dead boy is the dead innocence in an adult, right? Like the boy was innocent as a child, and when his innocence died, it's like the dead boy. So urging adults to see that there's still these wonders in life, even though they're not going to be seen through children's eyes. And again, we kind of have a little bit of an idea like Storytime, tricksters, magicians will show you all that's real. Like, even though they're people that you'd think of as creating magic or tricking you, sometimes like seeing things through that lens can be more real than real life, or can help you understand things in a different way. So I think it's just asking the listener to realize that there's still positive experience and like wonder to be experienced as an adult. Last we have Song of Myself. I am sorry if I look really tired. It's because I am really tired. I'm like not here right now. I know this video has been a million years long, but let's finish it out with a bang. So obviously this is influenced by Walt Whitman. I mean, it's not obvious if you're not familiar with his poetry, but he has a poem called Song of Myself that's pretty famous, so Thomas probably took that from it in some way. There's 4 different parts, and the first part is From a Dusty Bookshelf, which is just that instrumental intro, and then we have All That Great Heart Lying Still. My opinion on the song in general is like, I can appreciate it, but it's not one that I would really listen to often, because, I mean, I like the first part of it, but then when it gets into the spoken part, like, it's just not something I'd like want to jam out to all the time. But yeah, I can appreciate the lyrics. So the lyrics to All That Great Heart Lying Still are: the nightingale is still locked in the cage, the deep breath I took still poisons my lungs, an old oak sheltering me from the blue, sunbathing on its dead frozen leaves. A catnap in the ghost town of my heart, she dreams of story time and the river ghosts, of mermaids, of Whitmans and the ride, raving harlequins, gigantic toys. So we have a reference to Escapist. The song has a lot of references back to other Nightwish songs, actually. So the nightingale is still locked in the cage, like Nightingale in a Golden Cage. And then he's mentioned like Big Blue or the blue before, and I think that just means in this case the sky, like the old oak sheltering me from the blue, because I mean I can't really imagine that being the ocean. And then when it says the ghost town of my heart, I think it's also just kind of that old man at the end of his life idea. There's nothing left, you know, like it's just ghosts of memories and past emotions, but there aren't new like experiences being made. And then the next few lines are references to other songs on the album. So she dreams of Storytime, River Ghosts, like Ghost River, of Mermaids, Whitmans and the Ride, like Last Ride of the Day. I should also mention that his name in the movie is Tom Whitman, so that might be like a connection here too. But anyway, like if you're not familiar with his poetry, he like wrote about nature a lot, so I think Tom is kind of connected to that. A song of me, a song in need of a courageous symphony, a verse of me, a verse in need of a pure heart singing me to peace. All that great heart lying still and slowly dying, all that great heart lying still on an angel wing. All that great heart lying still in silent suffering, smiling like a clown until the show has come to an end. What is left for encore is the same old dead boy song sung in silence. All that great heart lying lying still and slowly dying, all that great heart lying still on an angel wing. A midnight flight into Covington Woods, a princess and a panther by my side. These are territories I live for. I'd still give my everything to love you more. So when it says a verse of me, a verse in need of a pure heart singing me to peace, a pure heart. Which song was that in? Dark Chest of Wonders, I think that he mentioned that. It kind of gives the idea of just like an innocent child, like someone with a pure heart. The all that great heart lying still and slowly dying kind of goes back to like the ghost town in his heart. Like it used to be capable of feeling all these emotions and having all these memories, and now it's lying still in the end of his life. It felt complex emotions. It was a source of his creativity throughout his life, and now it's just decaying. The smiling like a clown until the show has come to an end goes back to The Poet and the Pendulum a bit, kind of like the whore for the cold world, like putting on a show. You think of a clown smile as like this fake painted on smile, feeling like he has to put on a show for the world to sell his soul for the pleasure and entertainment of others. The same old Dead Boys song. It could just be like directly referencing Dead Boys poem, or just music in general, like a lack of inspiration kind of a thing. Someone on Song Meanings interpreted this part as someone who fakes a smile till the show's over and then pours their feelings out when there's no one left to hear them. Like that's why it says, is the same old Dead Boys song sung in silence. They'll finally release their emotions once everyone's gone home, essentially. And then the last verse there is basically just some like fairy tale references on Genius. I just like clicked on each of these. So Covington Woods is the setting of the movie Mysterious Forest, and it's considered like a forbidden place because it was inhabited by dangerous creatures. The Princess and the Panther is a fairy tale, and someone pointed out that the territories could be a Stephen King reference, and it's basically a parallel reality or another reality. I think it's just maybe an ode to stories that he's loved. And then the last line, I'd still give my everything to love you more, just seems like it's, you know, about a loved one. And then part 3 we have Piano Black, a silent symphony, a hollow opus number 1, 2, 3. Sometimes the sky is piano black over cleansing waters, resting pipes, verse of bore, rusting keys without a door. Sometimes the within is piano black over cleansing waters, all that great heart lying still and slowly dying, all that great heart lying still on an angel wing. Oh, and that reminds me, I think just like if we're taking this song as like being a giant like reference back to other songs, like an angel wing kind of sounds like an angel face, or just kind of reminds me of Angel Swell First. So I did not know how to interpret this, but according to multiple people online in Genius and Song Meanings, piano black is like beautiful and empty. So maybe it's just an expression that I've never heard before, because I would have just thought like, oh, like the glossy black shine of a grand piano, like I don't know. So if we're going with that, that kind of reminds me of Whoever Brings the Night thematically, because that was all about things that seem beautiful, but they're actually like rotting on the inside. The images of resting pipes, verse of bore, and rusting keys without a door is like things that no longer have a use or are not being used to fulfill their purpose. And then it changes from sometimes the sky is piano black to sometimes the within is piano black, like inside ourselves is beautiful but empty, like maybe saying that we put on that mask or like that clown smile like it was talking about to cover up the emptiness inside. Okay, so for part 4, love, I'm not going to read the whole thing. It is way too long and we'll be here for hours. So I'll read part of it, but basically this is all spoken. I think most of it is spoken by Troy. In the credits, they just say loved ones. It just says the stanzas in love recited by the loved ones and the fellowship. So on a Reddit thread, which I will link in the description, we're saying that most of it's read by Troy, and there's also like Thomas's parents, Marco's kids, Johanna, his girlfriend, now wife, oh, and Annette's son as well. I'm just gonna kind of summarize the first part by saying that it gives you these snapshots of life, snapshots of humanity, including like these painful parts that we may try not to think about. And they're very detailed images. They're also moments that would be emotionally complex. This is still gonna be a lot to read. The first thing I ever heard was a wandering man telling his story. It was you, the grass under my bare feet, the campfire in the dead of the night, the heavenly black of sky and sea. It was us, roaming the rainy roads, combing the gilded beaches, waking up to a new gallery of wonders every morn, bathing in places no one's seen before, shipwrecked on some matte-painted island, clad in nothing but the surf, beauty's finest robe. So I think that it was you. I don't know if that's supposed to be God, saying God is everywhere, or for a lover. This is probably a stretch because it's not like under my bare feet, can only be used once, but that did make me think of Elven Path, like the path under my bare feet, the Elven Path, the grass under my bare feet. I don't know. I think that the It Was Us could be talking about lovers, but I also think that it could be about the band and like all the wonders and the travels they did when they were touring, like waking up to a new gallery of wonders every morn, kind of all the adventures that they had there. And then beyond all mortality we are, swinging in the breath of nature, in early air of the dawn of life, a sight to silence the heavens. I want to travel where life travels, following its permanent lead, where the air tastes like snow music, where grass smells like fresh-born Eden. I would pass no man, no stranger, no tragedy or rapture. I would bathe in a world of sensation, love, goodness, and simplicity, well violated and imprisoned by technology. The thought of my family's graves was the only moment I used to experience true love. That love remains infinite, as I'll never be the man my father is. We'll stop there for a second. I think that first part was kind of just talking about the wonders of life. Again, like what we keep seeing coming up on here. It gives you like those interesting images, like where the air tastes like snow music. It's just kind of like an interesting image that plays off of more than one sense there. I think the part about the family's graves is maybe saying like when his loved ones died, all of those arguments or hard times or bad moments or hurtful things like disappeared, and the only thing he was left with was the love. And he knows that it goes on forever. I'm not sure the line, as I'll never be the man my father is. I don't remember who's reading the part before that, but it goes from an adult's voice to a kid's voice there, so I feel like that's significant. I'm not really sure how it relates to the lines before it. Like maybe it's just like knowing that you'll never live up to like expectations or something. And then the next part is, how can you just be yourself when you don't know who you are? Stop saying, I know how you feel. How could anyone know how another feels? Basically just criticizing like those common, you know, like uplifting or inspirational sayings and trying to dig deeper there. Like everyone says, oh, just be yourself, but what if you don't even know who that is? And like we all have our unique experiences and our own humanity. How can you like really know how someone else is feeling? And then, who am I to judge a priest, beggar, whore, politician, wrongdoer? I am, you are, all of them already. Those are really interesting lines. It reminds me, I think it was in Planet Hell where I kind of went into that, the first rock thrown again or something like that, biblical reference where we can't judge another sinner or something. We're so much like a product of our circumstances. Like how can we judge other people and their choices when we didn't have those same circumstances? Like we don't really know what led them there. We don't know what we would have done in their shoes, I think is what that's saying. Dear child, stop working, go play. Forget every rule, there's no fear in a dream. Is there a village inside this snowflake? A child asked me. What's the color of our lullaby? I've never been so close to truth as then. I touched its silver lining. So that relates to some other lines in songs of Thomas's about like childhood innocence and their dreams. Basically children's minds just see like endless possibility in things. Like, is there a village inside the snowflake? Like their mind would go someplace like that. Whereas adults, that kind of fades away. They just don't have the same like rules and logic that adults' minds do. And he's saying that like that's the closest that he got to understanding the world or truth, which kind of goes back to that idea that we've seen a couple more times on this album. Sometimes we need that other perspective, that make-believe, that fantasy to actually understand reality. Death is the winner in any war. Nothing noble in dying for your religion, for your country, for ideology, for faith, for another man, yes. And this reminds me of Planet Hell a little bit with the critique of war there, like basically saying death is the only real winner because each side like sacrifices so much. The only thing worth dying for is another man and not these like ideologies or countries. Paper is dead without words, ink idle without a poem, all the world dead without stories, without love and disarming beauty. I would get all the world dead without stories tattooed. Like I love that line so much. So this verse actually reminds me a bit of bless the child without innocence. The cross is only iron. Hope is only an illusion. That part, like it's saying that these items like paper and ink, they're just an item without like that imagination to bring them to life. The world needs stories. We need imagination to bring joy and meaning to our lives is what it's saying there, and that connects back to Storytime and all those other instances of like stories bringing you closer to truth because they give you love and disarming beauty. Careless realism costs souls. Ever seen the Lord smile? All the care for the world made beautiful a sad man. Why do we still carry a device of torture around our necks? Oh, how rotten your pre-apocalypse is, all you Bible-backed fools living over nightmare ground. I see all those empty cradles and wonder if man will ever change. I too wish to be a decent man boy, but all I am is smoke and mirrors. Still given everything, may I be deserving. And there forever remains that change from G to E minor. I'm not entirely sure what to make of those first lines. Maybe careless realism cost souls is like shattering people's imagination, or their wonder isn't worth it and it just hurts them. Empty cradles might be children that went to war, if we're still going on that war idea there. I'm not really sure what to make of these lines, but like man boy could relate to child man's heart, like in Storytime, and it could just mean like he'll always be a child on the inside. And then the smoke and mirrors is he thinks he's nothing beneath this illusion that he's put up, which connects back to like the clown smile and everything, like putting on a show for people. And the last line, this does connect directly to the movie. So at the end, his daughter in the movie, her name is Jem, and he and his daughter were estranged. At the end, she has to play the G and E minor chords on the piano to unlock something in the snow globe for it to turn or something like that. And it basically symbolizes their reconciliation at the end. And G and E minor are relative chords. So like if you play the G major scale with the 1 sharp and you start it on E, then you're playing the E minor scale. The same keys, just starting on E, you have the E minor scale. So it's like that idea that it's like 2 sides of the same coin, kind of. I don't know, because I feel like it's significant. Maybe that just goes back to like the happy and sad parts of life, but I feel like that's not an uplifting ending to say the change from G to E minor. Like that would be the change from good to bad. Because like in the story it makes sense and it's an uplifting ending, but if you're taking it as just the song, like talking about the highs and lows of life, nothing ever lasts forever. The happy or the sad moments, I guess. The last song is IMAGINAERUM, and it's just a medley of the songs, kind of like the credits of the movie. The arrangement was done by Pip Williams, but the music was obviously written by Thomas. Okay, that was so long, but hopefully that was somewhat entertaining and interesting for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like and subscribe. I will be making more videos very soon, more breakdowns, more reactions. Leave me any requests you have in the comments, and please let me know what your favorite songs off this album are and any fun interpretations that you guys have, because I feel like there's so many different directions these songs could be taken in. Hope you're having a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you next time. Bye.